Hello, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services sales executives for our video message of the week. All right, we are starting a brand new series called Appointment Setting. And we're going to cover 4 categories in this series: expired listings, for sale by owners, sphere, and open houses. And my goal with this series is just to give you a few tips in each one of these categories to help make it easier for you to move forward. All right, now, the first one we're going to cover is expireds. Before I jump right in, I want to give you a couple rules of thumb. And these rules, okay, will blend into every aspect or every category that we're going to cover in this series. Rule number 1, know your key objective. Meaning, all right, you got to stay clear on what you're trying to accomplish. What do I mean? Well, it rolls right in to rule number 2. First things first. Second thing second. See, sometimes, let me give you an example. You're on the phone with a prospect and you're thinking about taking the listing. Stop. It's not time to think about taking the listing. It's time to think about getting face-to-face with that client. Don't make this mistake. Keep in mind, objectives can both be important, but guess what? One is important at this time frame and the other one is very important at another time frame. And thirdly, and most importantly, is remember your practice and training. Here's what I'm going to say about it. If you're uncomfortable with a listing presentation or a buyer presentation or talking to people, you need more practice and you need more training. What do you have to do? Participate. We've got plenty, oodles of training and practice opportunities. You got to jump in. You should be comfortable. Doesn't mean, you know what, the flop sweat's not going to be there sometimes, but guess what? You know what to say because you have practiced and practiced and practiced. All right, let's jump right into expired listings today. All right, so what is our first main objective? Get face to face with that client. No, we're not going for the listing yet. Our one main objective is get face to face. Once we're face to face, then our objective will switch again to taking a listing. So let me give you some tips on how you can get face-to-face more quickly. Now, this is not going to take the place of a full class on expired listings, so I'm going to go through it pretty quick, but it should give you some essence. Okay, rule number 1, immediately get them talking about themselves and their home. How do I recommend to do this? As soon as you introduce yourself, ask them a question about their house. How's the backyard landscaped? Tell me about your kitchen. Tell me about your floor plan. Tell me about your neighborhood. Whatever question you're comfortable with, that is fine. The key here is to throw them off their feet and get them thinking about themselves and their home. I promise you, it will open up the conversation in the right direction. After you ask the first question about their home, what do? You ask another question about their home and another question. And if they push back and say, hey, you know what? Why do you need this information? You can say, well, aren't you selling your home? Well, it just expired. It came off the computer. Oh, okay, that's why it doesn't come out of the MLS. That makes sense now. Go right back into asking them questions about their house. And as soon as you see the opportunity, then jump in for that appointment. Listen, I want you to qualify these these sellers in that example the best you can, but the reality of it is do it the best you can. You'll answer some of those qualifying questions when you're face to face with them. Get that appointment. Get some key qualifiers done, but get that appointment. That's what it's all about. Okay? Last tip on this is plan for more opportunity when you're in the neighborhood. You know, some people worry about, well, what if I go there and it wasn't a productive appointment? Can't happen. See, because when you go to that neighborhood and you've met those people, you've toured the house, regardless of how that goes, you're already in the neighborhood. Plan to do something else around that neighborhood. What other work can you do? Are you going to knock some doors? Maybe you're going to promote another open house. Maybe you're going to promote a listing that the company has so you can sit there and meet the neighborhood. Whatever you're doing, there's no wrong people to talk to. The kicker here is maximizing the quality of your time. Well, if you already drove there and now you're going to meet more people in the neighborhood, that's always a good thing. Okay? Last point here that I promise you will always be important, and that's follow up and follow up and follow up. You know, if you don't get the listing that first meeting, it's okay. Here's what's not okay. Not having a follow-up system that you can continually talk to them. If they're an expired listing, you know that they were okay with working with a real estate firm. We know this, and we know potentially they're interested in selling their house. Maybe their motivation isn't there yet. We'll find that out. The reality of it is, we can say pretty much they're as close as you're going to get. So guess what? You got to follow up. You got to talk to them again. You listened really well when you got face-to-face, so you know some key areas to talk about because you asked insightful questions. Use those insightful questions. Use what you learned, and guess what? Follow up, follow up, follow up. These simple tips, I promise you, will make it easier for you to get that listing. Have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.